Now take a closer look at this map. Saudi Arabia, which is nearly as big as Western Europe and is more than a fifth the size of the United States, is the 14th largest country by land area in the world. Its land area is 2.14 million square kilometers. Driving down memory lane, Ibn Saud, then known as King Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia, established the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in September 1932. Saudi Arabia is one of the few nations on Earth without even a single permanent river, with an annual rainfall of less than 150 millimeters. When you think of Saudi Arabia, you think of the hot, scorching desert sun and endless sand dunes. However, in the desert of the kingdom, there is strange but spectacular activity going on. Here, in this video, we'll talk about 15 facts about Saudi Arabia's drought and culture. Number 15. Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the world without a river. When you think of agriculture and the splendor thereof, Saudi Arabia is not supposed to even come to mind. I mean, this country is literally a desert. Notwithstanding, Saudi Arabia, against all odds, has found a way to make a name for itself in the agricultural sector. Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the world without a river because it is located in a desert climate. Deserts are characterized by low rainfall and high evaporation rates, which make it difficult for rivers to even form. Additionally, the Arabian Peninsula is located in a region where the Earth's crust is relatively stable, which means that there are no major geological features that could help to create rivers. As a result, Saudi Arabia is a land of dry, sandy deserts with few natural sources of water. The Arabian Peninsula is also home to the Rub al-Khali, the largest sand desert in the world. The Rub al-Khali is so dry that it receives less than 100 millimeters of rainfall per year. This lack of rainfall makes it difficult for plants to grow, and the high evaporation rates mean that any water that does fall quickly disappears. The lack of rivers in Arabia has had a significant impact on the development of the region. However, Saudi Arabia is not one who's willing to back down. The region's early inhabitants were nomadic people who followed the seasonal rains in search of water and grazing land. As the region became more populated, people began to build dams and canals to collect and store water. These water systems were essential for developing agriculture and urban centers in Arabia. The region's population is growing rapidly, and the demand for water is increasing. This has led to increased competition for water resources and, in some cases, conflict. To this effect, the region's governments proactively took steps to develop new ways to manage water resources. Even as the temperature rises, while rainfall decreases, there are wadis that have been dammed up in Saudi Arabia. On wadis, there are actually hundreds of dams. This is an effort to collect seasonal surface water for human use after rain. To try and gather enough water for national consumption, the Saudi Arabia government uses a variety of water sources, including initiatives for recycling wastewater as well as groundwater, seasonal surface water, rainwater collection, desalination facilities, and other resources. This is just the beginning. From this visual, you can see how this river runs through the sands of the Saudi desert. It is very obvious that Saudi Arabia is up to something bigger than we have ever seen. Let's find out more. Number 14. The Saudi Arabia drought. Still on the no-water nature of the Saudi Arabia nation, Saudi Arabia just shocked American scientists with this. Guess what? Saudi Arabia has announced plans to build 9 water desalination plants on the Red Sea coast. Believe it or not, something strange is happening in the Saudi Arabia desert. According to a statement made by the Saudi Minister of Environment, Water and Agriculture, Enga Abdul Rahman Al Fadli, Saudi Arabia, claimed it would construct 9 additional desalination facilities on the Red Sea coast, and it would only take them 18 months. The project was priced at SR $2 billion, which is equivalent to $533 million to build the new plants. In order to improve the quality of water services in Saudi Arabia, the minister stated the plants would be constructed using modern techniques and add 240,000 cubic meters per day. The project will benefit the state-owned Saudi Saline Water Conversion Corp, WCC, by increasing production efficiency and reducing operating and capital expenses, according to the minister, who claimed that King Salman, custodian of the 2 holy mosques, gave the order in a royal edict. The kingdom now produces the most desalinated water in the entire world. SWCC claims that at the end of 2017, the kingdom's desalinated water production had increased to 5 million cubic meters per day. However, things just keep getting better. The plants will now have a combined capacity of 60 million cubic meters of water per day and are expected to be operational by 2030. The project is part of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 plan, which aims to diversify the country's economy and reduce its reliance on oil. The desalination plants will help to meet the growing demand for water in Saudi Arabia and will also provide a source of export revenue. The plants will be powered by renewable energy, such as solar and wind power, and will use the latest desalination technologies to produce high-quality water. The project is expected to create thousands of jobs and will help to boost the local economy. The desalination plants are a major step forward for Saudi Arabia and will help to ensure the country's water security in the years to come. They will also help to reduce the country's carbon footprint and make it a more sustainable nation. Number 13. Largest date farm in the world. In Saudi Arabia, the growth of the agricultural sector is a top priority in terms of local employment and food security. To lessen its reliance on food imports, the Saudi government has been working to modernize and commercialize agriculture since the late 1970s and early 1980s. The date palm tree, Phoenix dactylifera L, is one of the main crops grown in Saudi Arabia because it can withstand the arid climate. The Al Hassa Oasis, which contains about 3 million date palms and more, is one of Saudi Arabia's most important palm production regions. Saudi Arabia has a long history of date cultivation. Dates have been grown in the country for centuries, and they are an important part of the Saudi diet. The government has also been supportive of the date industry, providing subsidies and other forms of assistance to date farmers. As a result, the dates industry has flourished in Saudi Arabia, and the country is now one of the world's leading exporters of dates. Dates are a healthy and nutritious food. They are a good source of fiber, potassium, and other vitamins and minerals. Dates are also a good source of energy. They are often eaten as a snack or as part of a meal. Dates can also be used in a variety of dishes such as desserts, salads, and savory dishes. The demand for dates is growing around the world. This is due to the health benefits of dates, the increasing popularity of Middle Eastern cuisine, and the growing Muslim population. As a result of the growing demand, Saudi Arabia is expected to continue to be a major exporter of dates in the years to come. In 2020, Saudi Arabia exported 1.3 million tons of dates, worth $1.1 billion. The country's top export markets for dates are India, Pakistan, and the United Arab Emirates. According to a statement from the Ministry of Environment, Water and Agriculture, MIDUA, Saudi Arabia, which is recognized for growing over 300 different varieties of dates, has surpassed all other countries in the globe in terms of exporting this Middle Eastern fruit. Date exports and their derivatives in the kingdom increased significantly in 2022, up 5.4% from the previous year, with a remarkable yearly output topping 1.6 million tons of dates. More than 34 million date palms may be found in Saudi Arabia, most of which are in the Al-Qasim region, followed by Medina and Riyadh. The kingdom's agricultural productivity is based on these palms, which are crucial to achieving food security and sustained agricultural growth. Number 12. Largest camel market. The biggest camel market in the entire globe is located at Baydha. Here, thousands of dromedaries, goats, lambs, saddles, and other equipment are bought and sold every morning. Saudi Arabia has long valued Arabian one-hump camels as a source of protein, meat, and milk, as well as leather. The country's culture of camel racing is maintained by keeping the best specimens, which are thoroughbred racing animals. The market is a crucial component of Saudi Arabia and a fantastic method to learn about Arabic culture. Baby camels, lots of warm grins, and the usual frantic bustle of an animal market may all be found here. The camel market in Saudi Arabia is a bustling place, full of life and activity. Camels of all shapes and sizes are on display, from the small and nimble Bactrian camel to the large and powerful dromedary camel. Buyers and sellers haggle over prices, and the air is filled with the sound of bartering and the smell of camel dung. The camel market is a vital part of the Saudi economy. Camels are used for transportation, milk, meat, and racing. They are also a symbol of wealth and status in Saudi Arabia. The camel market is a place where people from all walks of life come together to buy and sell camels. It is a place where tradition and modernity meet, and where the old and new worlds collide. The camel market is a fascinating place to visit. It is a place where you can see the true spirit of Saudi Arabia. It is also a place where you can experience the culture and traditions of the country. And it is a place where you can learn about the importance of camels in Saudi Arabia. If you are ever in Saudi Arabia, be sure to visit the camel market. It is an experience you will never forget. Number 11. Saudi Arabia exports vegetables and fruits. The Arabian Peninsula receives very little rainfall, and the aquifers have nearly emptied. However, Saudi Arabia has managed to become self-sufficient in many fruits and vegetables, and is a major exporter of dates. This is due to a number of factors, including the use of modern irrigation techniques, such as drip irrigation, which conserve water. Drip irrigation is a method of irrigation that delivers water directly to the roots of plants, minimizing evaporation and runoff. This is especially important in desert climates, where water is scarce. The use of greenhouses, which protect crops from the sun and wind, is also to give credit. Greenhouses are structures that are used to grow plants in controlled environments. They can be used to protect crops from extreme weather conditions, such as high temperatures and strong winds. The use of high-yield varieties of crops that are adapted to desert conditions also helped, because high-yield varieties of crops have been bred to produce more food per unit of land. The use of subsidies also made it profitable for farmers to grow crops in the desert. Subsidies are payments that are made by the government to farmers to help them cover the costs of production. In Saudi Arabia, the government provides subsidies for water, electricity, and fertilizer. This helps to make it profitable for farmers to grow crops in the desert. As a result of these efforts, Saudi Arabia has become a major agricultural producer. The country is now self-sufficient in many fruits and vegetables, and it is a major exporter of dates. Number 10. Producers of dairy products. Saudi Arabia became self-sufficient in dairy products through a combination of government investment and private sector initiatives. The government has invested in dairy farms and processing plants, while the private sector has developed new technologies and production methods. As a result, Saudi Arabia is now able to produce enough milk and dairy products to meet its own needs. In 2008, the Saudi government launched the National Dairy Plan, which aimed to make Saudi Arabia self-sufficient in dairy products by 2013. The plan included a number of initiatives, such as providing subsidies to dairy farmers, building new dairy farms and processing plants, and developing new technologies for producing dairy products. The private sector has also played a key role in Saudi Arabia's dairy self-sufficiency. In recent years, a number of Saudi companies have developed new technologies for producing dairy products, such as using robots to milk cows and using artificial intelligence to monitor the health of cows. These technologies have helped to increase the efficiency of dairy production in Saudi Arabia. As a result of these efforts, Saudi Arabia is now able to produce enough milk and dairy products to meet its own needs. In 2019, Saudi Arabia produced 1.3 million tons of milk, which was more than enough to meet the country's domestic demand of 1.1 million tons. Without a doubt, Saudi Arabia's dairy self-sufficiency has a number of benefits. It has helped to reduce the country's dependence on imports, it has created jobs in the dairy sector, and it has improved the quality of dairy products available to Saudi consumers. Number 9. Drought seeds Saudi Arabia wheat export. Saudi Arabia has become the world's 75th largest wheat exporter, despite not having a single river. This is due to a combination of modern technology and government subsidies. The country has invested heavily in drip irrigation, which allows farmers to use water more efficiently. Drip irrigation is a method of irrigation that delivers water directly to the roots of plants, using small tubes or pipes. This method is much more efficient than traditional methods of irrigation, such as flood irrigation, which wastes a lot of water. Saudi Arabia has also built large desalination plants to provide water for irrigation and drinking. Desalination is the process of removing salt from seawater to make it drinkable or usable for irrigation. This process is expensive, but it is necessary in a country like Saudi Arabia, which has very little fresh water. In addition to these technological advances, the Saudi government has also provided subsidies to farmers to make it profitable to grow wheat in the desert. These subsidies help to offset the high cost of water and other inputs, such as fertilizer. As a result of these efforts, Saudi Arabia has become a major wheat exporter. In 2020, it exported 10 million tons of wheat, making it one of the world's largest exporters. Saudi Arabia is ending a 30-year wheat-growing program that led to self-sufficiency but exhausted the desert nation's limited water resources. According to representatives from the Ministries of Agriculture and Finance, the government will begin cutting its purchases of wheat from nearby farmers by 12.5% annually. This step is a result of the drought problem faced by the country. By 2016, the kingdom would be totally dependent on imports. Water resources are the cause, according to one official who wished to remain unnamed. Enough durum and soft wheat is produced in Saudi Arabia each year, amounting to about 2.5 million tons to satisfy domestic needs. The drought issue is critical for Saudi Arabia, but there are plans to mitigate the effect. Number 8. Desalination plants to desalinate the seawater into fresh water. Saudi Arabia is using another tactic, which is to use desalination plants to desalinate the seawater into fresh water. One method for desalination is by using thermal gases, and the other is by membrane-based reverse osmosis, which runs by using electricity. This electricity is harnessed by nuclear power. The Ras Al Khair desalination plant, formerly known as the Ras Az Zar desalination plant, is a hybrid desalination facility that uses both the multi-stage flashing (MSF) and reverse osmosis (RO) methods. The factory is situated 75 kilometers to the northwest of Jubail in the Ras Al Khair industrial city. Desalination plant construction began in early 2011 and was completed in April 2014. With the capacity to supply water to around 3.5 billion people in the city of Riyadh, it is the largest desalination plant of its sort in the world. The facility has a daily output capacity of 228 million imperial gallons, (MIGD), or 728 million liters. The project's construction cost SR 27 billion, or almost $7.2 billion. Doosan and Saudi Archie Rodan, one of the consortium's partners, served as the project's major contractors, while Poiri served as the project consultant. The engineering, procurement, and construction, or EPC contract, included the manufacturing, installation, testing, and commissioning of equipment and facilities. The second phase of the project will also see the construction of a 2,650 MW combined cycle power plant, which will feature two 220 MW single-cycle gas turbine (SCGT) units and five 600 MW combined cycle gas turbine (CCGT) blocks. 8 MSF units and 17 RO units make up the desalination facility. However, the RO units can only produce 68 MIGD, compared to the 160 MIGD produced by the MSF units. Doosan Heavy Industries Vietnam produced 3 of the MSF units, while Doosan Korea produced the remaining 5. Number 7. The Al Baydha Project. Next on, we have a project called the Al Baydha Project. Located in western Saudi Arabia and roughly 20 miles south of Mecca, the region known as Al Baydha would be the center of this project. It is aimed to manage the floodwater that was directly going to the sea unused. Al Baydha has 9 settlements within around 700 kilometers, and its residents are Bedouin tribes who have been nomadic for about 100 years and used to follow the rain. If the entire west coast is covered under the project, then 30 million acres could be transformed into agricultural lands. However, this will cost billions of dollars and take time. Positively, the agricultural capacity of Saudi Arabia could be multiplied by a minimum of 6 times, which will increase the GDP by up to 5%. It will be helpful to reverse desertification as carbon gases will again be fixed to fertile soil, and this will result in rainfall in the region to supply the population with fresh water. The Al Baydha project is a long-term plan to develop the agricultural sector in Saudi Arabia. The project aims to increase the amount of land that is suitable for agriculture and to improve the efficiency of water use in agriculture. The Al Baydha project is expected to cost billions of dollars, and it is expected to take several years to complete. The Al Baydha project is a major undertaking, but it is one that is essential for the future of Saudi Arabia. The country is facing a number of challenges, including a growing population, a limited water supply, and a dependence on oil exports. The Al Baydha project has the potential to address these challenges and to help Saudi Arabia become a more sustainable and prosperous country. The Baydha project is one of a number of initiatives that the Saudi government is taking to diversify the economy and reduce the country's dependence on oil. The government is also investing in renewable energy, tourism, and manufacturing. These initiatives are designed to create jobs and generate economic growth. The Baydha project is a bold and ambitious undertaking, but it is one that has the potential to transform the future of Saudi Arabia. The project is expected to create thousands of jobs, and it is expected to boost the country's economy. The Baydha project is also expected to help Saudi Arabia become more sustainable and to reduce its dependence on oil. To make the land green, we need water. To get water, we need to desalinate it. Desalination requires nuclear energy. All of this is interconnected. Facilities have also been put in place to treat urban and industrial runoff for agricultural irrigation. Liquid nanoclay, LNC, serves as another important tactic. It is being used nowadays that can save water consumption by 50%, but it is quite expensive. LNC is a treatment that gives the sand a clay coating so that it can trap water effectively. Saudi Arabia has also allocated financial resources for agriculture research purposes to further improve its agricultural system. The government's efforts have been successful in increasing agricultural production. However, the country still imports a significant amount of food. Number 6. Saudi Arabia oil reserves. According to reports, Saudi Arabia has the second largest proven oil reserves in the world, with 268 billion barrels of reserves, 2.5 gigabarrel of which are located in the Saudi-Kuwait neutral zone. At present rates of production, this would equate to more than 50 years of output. An oil barrel is defined in the oil industry as 42 U.S. gallons, which is equivalent to 159 liters or 35 imperial gallons. The eastern province is where most of the oil reserves are located. Until Venezuela stated in January 2011 that they had expanded their proven reserves to 297 GBBL, Saudi reserves were reportedly the largest in the world. The kingdom has substantial oil reserves. The largest oil field in the world is in Saudi Arabia, at Ghawar. The remaining oil is thought to be about 70 billion barrels. The petroleum industry in Saudi Arabia accounts for 45% of its GDP, which is more than the economies of Iraq, Morocco, Rwanda, and Tonga put together. Saudi Arabia has experienced unheard-of growth as a result of the oil sector's recent success. Their population increased from 6.9 million to 26 million in 39 years. Saudi Arabia has historically kept reserve statistics and other technological information as a closely guarded secret, at least since 1982. Due to this, it has become nearly hard to independently verify the kingdom's reserves and resources, forcing commentators and the general public to rely on conjecture and oblique indicators. Now, it's time for today's subscribers pick. What do you think is going on here in this picture? We know Saudi Arabia has a lot under their sleeves. In fact, with a lot going on, Saudi Arabia does not mind sending the biggest shocker to American scientists. But what do you think they are up to here? Do you think it is another method for dealing with drought or another desalination plant? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Number 5. Fresh water is more expensive and valuable than crude oil. The largest nation in the Middle East is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Iraq, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates are their neighbors. Arguably, the largest population of young people in the world can be found in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But do you know that fresh water is more expensive and valuable than crude oil in Saudi Arabia? This is because water is a scarce resource. Saudi Arabia's two primary fluids are water and oil. Many people believe that oil is the most significant natural resource in any nation. However, water is becoming more valuable to the Saudis themselves. Magnificent buildings and structures may be developed quickly thanks to increased oil income, but water resources are constantly decreasing. In Saudi Arabia, the water turns out to be finite, and the desert kingdom's very survival is in jeopardy. The Arabian Aquifer, which was formed about 20,000 years ago when the climate in this region was much more humid, is the principal source of fresh water on the peninsula. The water in this aquifer, one of the biggest in the world, is located 100 to 500 meters, occasionally even 2,500 meters below the surface. Saudi Arabia has a lot of crude oil, but it is a desert country with very little fresh water. Fresh water is essential for human life, and it is also used for agriculture, industry, and energy production. The cost of producing fresh water is high in Saudi Arabia, and as the population continues to grow, the demand for fresh water will increase, and the price of fresh water will likely continue to rise. The country has to desalinate seawater, which is a costly process. In addition, the country has to invest in infrastructure to transport and distribute fresh water. All these indicate that the price of fresh water is likely to continue to rise in the future. Number 4. High percentage of foreign workers. Saudi Arabia is a great country with lots of people and diversity. As the economy of Saudi Arabia continues to grow daily, credit must be given to governing bodies and the workers. However, looking at the workforce, Saudi Arabia has a very high percentage of foreign workers. In fact, 80% of the labor force in Saudi Arabia is non-national, and immigrants make up more than 30% of the total Saudi population. This is due to a number of factors, including the country's small population, its oil wealth, and its relatively high wages. The overall number of non-nationals working in Saudi Arabia's private sector in 2021 was estimated to be 6.17 million people. Approximately 76.4% of Saudi Arabia's private sector workforce was made up of foreigners. Foreign workers are employed in a wide range of sectors in Saudi Arabia, including construction, oil and gas, manufacturing, and services. They play a vital role in the country's economy and society. However, the high number of foreign workers has also led to some challenges, such as social tensions and competition for jobs. The presence of a large number of foreign workers has led to some social tensions in Saudi Arabia. Some Saudis feel that foreign workers are taking jobs away from them and that they are not integrating into Saudi society. The high number of foreign workers has also had an impact on the Saudi economy in the sense that foreign workers would send a significant amount of money back to their home countries, which could, in turn, reduce the amount of money circulating in the Saudi economy. Nevertheless, the government is trying to create more jobs for Saudis, and it is also trying to encourage foreign workers to integrate into Saudi society. Number 3. The Arabian oryx. In terms of wildlife, Saudi Arabia has the graceful Arabian oryx. The Arabian oryx is a graceful antelope that once roamed the deserts of Saudi Arabia. However, due to hunting and habitat loss, the species was declared extinct in the wild in 1972. Fortunately, a captive breeding program was able to save the species, and in 1982, a small herd of Arabian oryx was reintroduced into the wild. The reintroduction was a success, and the species has since been reclassified as vulnerable. This is a remarkable success story, and it shows that even when a species is on the brink of extinction, it is possible to bring it back. The Arabian oryx is now one of the few animals in the world whose population has increased after nearly disappearing. This is a testament to the power of conservation efforts, and it gives hope for the future of other endangered species. Number 2. Horses played a key role in Arabian history. Throughout Arabian history, horses have been important. Arabian horses were crucial tools in the expansion of the Islamic Empire because they were bred for beauty, speed, and endurance. Horses have played a key role in Arabian history, from the early days of the Arabian Peninsula to the present day. They have been used for transportation, warfare, and recreation, and have been an important part of Arabian culture. The Arabian horse is a breed of horse that is native to the Arabian Peninsula. It is a small, agile horse that is known for its speed and endurance. Arabian horses have been used for centuries in warfare, and they were also used by the Bedouin people of the Arabian Peninsula for transportation and trade. In the early days of the Arabian Peninsula, horses were used by the Bedouin people for transportation and trade. They were also used in warfare, and the Bedouin people were skilled horsemen. The Arabian horse was prized for its speed and endurance, and it was used in raids and battles. In the 7th century, the Arabian Peninsula was conquered by the Muslim prophet Muhammad. Muhammad used horses to spread Islam throughout the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. Horses were also used in the Crusades, which were a series of religious wars between Christians and Muslims. In the 19th century, the Arabian horse was introduced to Europe and the United States. It quickly became popular as a show horse and a racehorse. Arabian horses are still used today for racing, show jumping, and dressage. They are also used for recreation, such as trail riding and endurance riding. Horses have played a key role in Arabian history. They have been used for transportation, warfare, and recreation, and have been an important part of Arabian culture. The Arabian horse is a beautiful and versatile breed of horse that is prized for its speed, endurance, and agility. Number 1. Don't serve coffee in the biggest cup in Saudi Arabia. Have you seen any of the tiniest coffee cups in Saudi Arabia? Although it is hardly larger than a thimble, it is completely filled with thick, dark coffee. If you take a drink, you'll see that it has a strong but pleasant flavor. It gives an energy-boosting effect of caffeine as it flows through the body. You'd appreciate the taste as you take the first and then a second drink. However, don't be carried away by the taste. Always ensure that you do not serve coffee in big cups. In Saudi Arabia, drinking coffee or qahwa is highly common. According to Saudi tradition, the host must serve his visitors qahwa in the smallest cup possible, indicating that he wants them to stay for a long time. If, however, the qahwa is served in a larger cup, the guest will feel insulted and may even leave in a huff. It's a sweet Arabic custom to discuss the day's events while gathering with family or friends over multiple tiny cups of hot coffee in the evening. For many years, this tradition has made it possible to have conversations with relatives and neighbors, as well as with other members of the community. Conventionally, and even now, inviting guests to sit down and converse as they have a cup or two of coffee is a sign of enduring Saudi hospitality. Middle Eastern nations like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, etc., primarily consume Arabic coffee. Arabic coffee is prepared in a unique pot called an Arab dala, and the cups are small and handle less with very little quantities that only cover the bottom of the cup. It is usually typically combined with dates and served by specially attired servers known as gawaji in homes and upscale cafeterias. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.